everybody? It's your girl Micca, and you're watching the Red Cup Podcast, where truth, pop culture, and politics meet. What's up, everybody? It's your girl Micca, and we're back for another Red Cup Talks because this is where truth, pop culture, and politics meet. And today is Monday. We're starting the new schedule. So I hope a lot of you guys listened last week. Okay, when I said the schedule was switching, it's going to be Mondays and Wednesdays at 6. Same times, but different days. Okay. So same times. But what's up, everybody in the chat? What's up? Thank you for pulling up. What's up, Spaces? What's up, Dion, Magnetar? Nick J, what's up? Dion, Tyrone, loud and clear. What's going on? Sugar Shane, JC. Okay, JC is new here, so you guys be nice. Your car, what's going on, you guys? You guys are early. I hope everybody had a good weekend. I had a great weekend, a little busy, but it was a great weekend. Okay. What's going on, CU? How are you? It was a great weekend, and I just did pretty much the stuff I wanted to do and had to get out. No, so wait, what's going on? Hey, Rocks. But I hope you guys had a good weekend, and we're going to get into a lot of things because over the weekend, you know, we had Chicago. They're acting a fool over there. They're acting a fool in Memphis, too. I got to do a video on that. I haven't got around to Memphis. When I tell you Memphis is wild, Memphis is wild. But we're gonna get into Chicago today. We're gonna get into Jay Jones. We're gonna get into HAKEEM Jeffries, Tamara Obama, and we're gonna get into some other things in the news. But first, you guys, you may know her, but I want to welcome Miss Tamara Neely of the Tamara Neely Show. What's going on? Can you hear me, Tamara?
Sorry about that. I had y'all on mute for a second.
No worries.
Yeah.
What's going on? How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yes, thank you. So I was telling Tamara that you know, well, you guys know I'm on a show in the night times on Thursdays and Fridays with Anton Daniels. And I saw Tamara there, but I also had saw Tamara's videos a little bit before it. And I said, I'm going to get Tamara on it because I love her content. Next thing I know, all of y'all are sending me like DMs and stuff. Okay, get Tamara. You got it. I'm like y'all are ruining it for me. Because I'm trying to bring good people onto the podcast. So I want to thank Tamara for coming on. And I think she has a lot to offer in a conservative space. But I want to give Tamara the room to tell people who she is, what she does on YouTube and beyond, and anything else you want to say. You got the floor.
All right. Well, I host the Tamara Neely Show. Maybe some of you guys have tuned in. If not, you can always watch my channel at the Tamara Neely Show. I am 23 years old. I enjoy commentating on just everything culture. It seems like I'm talking about a little bit of everything. And my journey started in the movement probably around, I would say, 5-ish years ago, being 18 years old, in the wake of Black Lives Matter, at least their George Floyd protest, and seeing all that craziness happening. And I was like, you know what? I think it's time to expose what's really going on. And so that's exactly what I did. And that's what got me connected into the conservative movement. And I've been making content ever since. And then started my show back in 2023. So that's a little bit about me.
You're making waves. I'll tell you that because, like I said, people have sent, you know, your stuff to me, sent me all your content. And then, you know, I've seen other people talk about you as well, like bigger content creators. So that's always a good thing, especially starting out, right? And I tell people this all the time, just do the content. Like, don't worry about the numbers in the beginning. Just do the content, right? Because I'm only into, this will be coming up on a full year.
Mm-hmm.
So it hasn't been that long,
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you have to just roll and do what you need to do. And, I always tell people, just be the most authentic you. And whoever likes you will come. Because
Yeah.
try to, gear towards one way or the other. Look, if you like Micca, you like Micca. If you don't, you don't. But you probably still here. So so I appreciate you for coming on, and we're gonna get into some of these shot topics, okay? Hey Alicia, hey DeGenius. What's going on? What's going on, Donna? Okay, so just to let you know, the chat always chats. Okay, they talk a lot. They talk amongst each other. They talk to you. They talk to me. So I'm just giving you the heads up. They ask questions. They super chat. They do all of that. So
I
they're
love it. Shout out to
very,
the chat.
very they're very active. But we're gonna get into it, you guys. All right. So what are we gonna get into first? Let's get into Stephen A. I want to get into this because I didn't get a chance to do it last week. I want to get your opinion on Stephen A. Smith and what he had to say about, as we call her here, Ratchet Crockett, but what he had to say about Jasmine Crockett and everything that she's been saying, doing, and is she doing enough for her constituents down in TX30? I think not. I've had Sheldon Daniels on my show as well, and he's phenomenal. And I just hope he mops the floor with her, but we shall see. But I want to go ahead and bring this up, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Here we go.
How Jasmine Crockett chooses to express herself, I'm like, is that going to help your district in Texas? Aren't you there to find a way to get stuff done, as opposed to just being an impediment to what Trump wants? How much work goes into that? I'm just going to go off about Trump, cuss him out every chance I get, say the most derogatory, incendiary things imaginable, and that's my day's work. That ain't work. Work is saying, that's the man in power. I know what his agenda is. I'm not exactly in a position to stop him, since the Republicans have the Senate and the House. But maybe if I'm willing to work with this man, I might get something out of it for my constituency. Because like Joe Manchin said, he's there to represent, or was there for 15 years to represent, the people of West Virginia. She's supposed to be there to represent the people of Texas. I don't know. Maybe that just sounds ignorant because it's so simple. But it ain't that damn complicated. We make it complicated. Damn, it's frustrating. It really can be.
So I want to get your thoughts on Stephen's rant. Do you think it was too harsh, or do you think it was something that was needed? Because I don't see a lot of the left calling her out.
Yeah, I think that Stephen could have gone even harder on Jasmine Crockett, to be honest, because I mean, I've had enough of her since she went after Governor Greg Abbott, calling him Governor Hot Wheels.
Yes.
I thought that was very inappropriate. And that was when I made my first video about Jasmine Crockett, because at first I wasn't going to say anything. I saw how she acted. She's kind of, like you guys say on this show, ghetto. And I'm just not I don't really find that sort of politician engaging to me. Like if somebody's ghetto, I just kind of, that's not my type. And so I just didn't pay attention to her much before that. But once she said what she said about Governor Abbott, I said, okay, now I've got to start talking about it. And so when it comes to what Stephen A. Smith said, I think he's right on. Jasmine Crockett is not focused on actually getting what her constituents needs. She's focused on destroying President Trump. And obviously that hasn't worked very much. Kamala Harris is also playing the same game. And so this is how they're keeping their audience engaged, by being on the defense instead of the offense, because they really don't have much to offer.
I 100% agree. I think Jasmine Crockett has absolutely nothing to offer, right? She always talks about, how well educated she is. She's an attorney. She's been like 3 different types of attorneys, as if she doesn't understand that we can pick up on it. One minute she's this type of attorney, civil rights attorney, a public defender. I don't know. However, I'm like, girl, you haven't been there doing it that long, but okay. So,
Right.
all right. But here's the thing. I can dismiss all of that. I can dismiss, well, I can't, but I could overlook a little bit the ratchetness if she was actually doing something.
Right.
I
Of
haven't
course.
found one, and I do mean not one. I haven't found one thing that she has made law or put her name and sponsored. I haven't found one. Absolutely not one. And so I'm just sitting there like, why is she there? She's on MSNBC. She's on China News Network. She's on what else? Anything that's pretty much on the left. She's on every podcast. Okay. One of the podcasts I saw her on, I swore she had to be a little intoxicated, because she
Oh,
was just
wow.
ranting and going back and forth, yelling about white supremacy and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's all good and fine. Okay, that roused up your base. But what are you actually talking about? That's actually doing something for your constituents. And then I think the nail in the coffin for me was when I did a review of Benny, when Benny Johnson went down to TX30. And he looked at all of the everything in the district and just how trash it was. I said, yeah, this woman is just here to play games, because there's absolutely no way you would actually vote for a woman like that, but they did.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I'm just dumbfounded at what makes somebody like that popular to people. I don't even care if you don't know about politics. What makes somebody like that, even if you are ratchet, ghetto, whatever you want to call it, do you want a politician like that? Your thoughts?
Right. Well, I think, I went back on Jasmine Crockett's Instagram and kind of just scrolled back to the beginning of her career. And it looks like or how she got people riled up and excited about her running is the fact that she was all about BLM, and she was going out there and protesting every chance she got and kind of making a scene that way. And that's what got people excited about her getting involved. And so unfortunately, she's used that to her advantage. And there's nobody to hold her accountable. She's going on the Breakfast Club, she's going on different shows, and she's making it seem like she's doing a whole lot, but really she's not doing anything. She's just there to create this sort of smoke and mirrors effect so that it makes it seem like the Democrats have something to say, when really they have nothing going on when you look at what's going on with them.
This is the first time in at least my lifetime that I can't figure out what the Democrats stand for. I don't even
I
know what the
know.
message is other than Orange Man bad.
Well, I don't even think they know what they stand for right now. I think they're just like, you know what? Donald Trump is working. We're getting clicks by mentioning his name. So we're going to keep clicking it and clocking it, like she has that show. I don't know if you saw her Instagram, or not Instagram, but YouTube. She has a show called Clock It.
Clock it.
Yeah, something like that. And so I just think I saw that the other day and I was like, oh my gosh, that is
I
too
put
funny.
that on my list to review. I've
Yeah.
watched it, like that is almost, it's about as worst as Angela Rye show to me.
Oh goodness.
I can't take,
Lord.
I cannot take Angela Rye. Angela Rye just irks my entire soul. So
I don't know who that is, but
oh my gosh. Well, if you don't have to watch her, please don't. But
okay.
if you have to, Angela Rye used to be, a political pundit on CNN. and then they got rid of her, but she's always on like all of the major platforms. She contributes every now and then, but she has her own show, and it's just absolutely nonstop victimhood, like
Oh,
nothing of use. Like nothing of use. I don't even mind the talking points. I'm just like, what's the solution? Never.
right.
It's just I orange man bad. I hate white people. That's what it is the entire time.
Yeah,
So
sounds about accurate. And, it's been going on for so many years. I remember when I was a kid, and I actually had a great opportunity to be a part of the Miss Black Oklahoma pageant. I was a page in that pageant when I was a kid. That's where I learned a lot about just how to act as a lady and all that good stuff. And I remember going to an Oklahoma museum where they showed us like some Black history exhibits and things like that. And when I was there, I was looking at it like, wow, we've come so far. But majority of the group was looking at it as like, look, they're still keeping us down, and they hate Black people and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, we have great opportunities. And yes, we do have a history that shouldn't be forgotten. But we've also come a far way, and we should acknowledge that.
yeah.
But so many Black people don't think of it like that. And unfortunately, it feeds their sort of hatred for white people when you stir up the pot and talk about the victimhood
Mm-hmm.
that Black people are
Oh,
experiencing.
yes. You say one thing about that victimhood. You are a tether. They love it. That's their word for me. I
Mhm.
love it. Whatever. I
Yeah,
lean into it because I say it like this. At the end of the day, um, everything I talk about, you can like it or not like it, but I speak from, you know, um looking at history. I speak from where, you can have solutions. We can
right.
go back and forth about conservative and liberal, but to sit there and just waddle in, something that isn't there, the invisible monster, I can't do. So a lot of the times
Exactly.
they don't like to listen to me, and I don't really care. But that's the norm. Now, you said that you didn't think Stephen A went far enough.
Mhm.
I want to see what you think with Judge Joe Brown.
Oh, okay. Let's watch it.
And let me know what you think. Here we go.
Okay.
Jasmine Crockett. How you feel about her? I know you ain't really, seeing eye to eye with her, huh?
An idiot. She's an embarrassment. She says all kinds of stupid stuff. She's got a Memphis connection. She went to a private school, college here, Rhodes College, founded by the person that set up apartheid in South Africa 150 years ago. So she went to that elite private school.
Mhm.
Then she went to, Thurgood Marshall Law School. She's a fake. She tries to be ghetto, and she's just as boule as she gets. With her wig hat on and her barns door size fake eyelashes, and saying the ignorant stuff she says. I call her coonskin Crockett. She wants to be a plantation mammy who is a special category, which is a third floor bed wench.
Oh,
And they
Jesus.
have a male and female in the Democratic Party, and she's one of them. Went to Rhodes College, small private college here in Memphis, Tennessee.
Now, Judge Joe Brown never mince words. And I love it. When you get that old, you just like, whatever. So what do you think of what Judge Joe Brown had to say about Jasmine Crockett? Because Stephen A laid it in, but Judge Joe Brown went in. What's your thoughts?
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, I mean, Jasmine Crockett has always given everybody else the heat. So we need somebody who can match her level. And Joe Brown did that, in my opinion.
Absolutely, absolutely. I said, I said one time because we were talking about, I forget who I was talking to. I was on a podcast, and we were talking about who can go up against Jasmine Crockett. They were naming all these people. I was like, no, 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 no. But I think I said, I said Kim Clasey, right?
Oh,
And
she would be
they were
great.
like, yeah. I said, oh, trust me. I said, she's from Baltimore. She can give it to you nice, or she can give it to you nasty. I said, so I think she would be time enough. And you know, I remember when Kim Klacik was running and how, you know, they treated her, what they were saying about her, you know, they were like, oh, she looks like this and like that, but they give Jasmine Crockett all the passes. Okay, she gets to sit there with the huge eyelashes and, you know, the wig, and if you say anything about it, oh my God, you don't like black women, but y'all have no problem with talking about Kim Clasey, or you have no problem with talking about Condoleezza Rice. I remember when they used to say, oh, why doesn't she get a hot comb and all this other stuff? I'm just like, what? But you talk about Jasmine Crockett and a lace front wig, and it's the end of the world.
Right. And the butterfly eyelashes as well, you know. And Kimberly Klacik is beautiful. Let me just say
Yes,
that. She's
yes,
absolutely gorgeous.
yes,
She's a great friend of mine, and she loves America. She's very well spoken. I can't
yes,
speak more highly of her.
yes.
So for them to attack Kimberly Klacik is just goes to show they have no class, and no
Know that.
understanding of what looks good and what doesn't. Okay.
They absolutely have no class, and we know they don't know what looks good because she would have been
Yeah,
replaced that wig a long time ago. So,
right.
lastly, I want to get into this last shot here, and it is of HAKEEM Jeffries, who everybody calls Temu Obama. And you know, I'm not a fan of Obama, but I think that does Obama a disjustice, because I mean, he tries to have that speech and that swag, and it's not there. It's not quite. And I'm just looking at it like, I wish he stopped. I wish I would just pick another man. It's not gonna work. I don't care if he light skinned. I don't care if he tries to have the little swag to walk like him. He has that slow tone, weird going. I'm just like, it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. And it's obviously not working with him with the Democrats. So he happened to be on ABC. I'm sorry, NBC. I think this was Meet the Press. And when I tell you, I don't think he liked the questioning, but we're going to get into a little bit of this, and you tell me your thoughts. Here we go.
Jeffries of New York. Leader Jeffries, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Good morning. Great to be with you.
Well, it's great to have you here on a very busy morning. I do, of course, want to get to the shutdown, but first I have to ask you about these developments in the Middle East. Of course, Hamas saying that it will, in fact, turn over the hostages. Leader Jeffries, let me ask you, do you support President Trump's 20-point peace proposal?
Well, I support a path toward a just and lasting peace, and that needs to involve making sure that every single hostage and the remains of those hostages still in Gaza are released immediately. Of course, we need to surge humanitarian assistance into Gaza so we can alleviate the immense suffering of Palestinian civilians who have been in harm's way through no fault of their own in a theater of war. And of course, we need to make sure that Hamas lays down its arms and that we have a governance structure that is put into place that allows for normalized relations between the Palestinian people and Israel.
All right, well, let's turn to the big news here in Washington, of course, which is the shutdown. Before lawmakers broke for the weekend, House Speaker Mike Johnson said the House would not return to Capitol Hill this week or in tour till Leader Schumer reopens the government. When is the last time you spoke with Republican leadership?
Well, the last time there was a conversation with Republican leadership was in the White House meeting last Monday. And unfortunately, since that point in time, Republicans, including Donald Trump, have gone radio silent. And what we've seen is negotiation through deep fake videos, the House canceling votes, and of course, President Trump spending yesterday on the golf course. That's not responsible behavior. As Democrats, our view is that we will find bipartisan common ground with our Republican colleagues to reopen the government, to actually pass a spending bill that meets the needs of the American people. But we have to decisively address this Republican healthcare crisis that is devastating hardworking American taxpayers.
You know, Democrats are demanding an extension of Obamacare tax credits, which expire at the end of the year, as well as other health care benefits for the funding bill. Here is what the vice president said about that this week. Take a look.
It's a lie told by the Democrats that they're not trying to give health care benefits to illegal aliens. It's a lie that is obviously untrue if you just look at the text that they gave us.
He says that Democrats are lying. What is your response to that?
Well, unfortunately, Republicans are lying because they're losing in the court of public opinion as it relates to what's going on right now. We are standing up for the health care of hardworking American taxpayers, of working class Americans, of middle class Americans, and everyday Americans who have seen over the last several months Republicans pass their one big ugly bill, largest cut to Medicaid in American history. Hospitals and nursing homes and community-based health clinics are closing all throughout the country, including in rural America. If Republicans continue to refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, tens of millions of American taxpayers are going to experience dramatically increased premiums, copays, and deductibles. And that information from their insurance companies is going out right now. Now, federal law clearly prohibits the expenditure of taxpayer dollars to provide health care to undocumented immigrants, period, full stop. And no Democrat on Capitol Hill is trying to change that law.
But Leader Jeffries, let me ask you, because as you just mentioned, you are also calling for a complete rollback of the Medicaid cuts, which Republicans just passed. They say it's a non-starter. Why include that? Why not just focus on your argument that you want to see those Obamacare tax credits extended, which expire at the end of the year?
This Republican healthcare crisis is all-encompassing, and it has been devastating to the well-being of the American people. We're talking about people in rural America, working-class America, urban America, small-town America, the heartland of America, and Black and brown communities all throughout America. Now, we have made clear that in terms of what's immediately in front of us, there, of course, is an urgent need to address the Affordable Care Act and the Republicans' refusal to extend these tax credits. What we're talking about here is
This
a
man
dramatic...
is extremely long-winded, and he didn't even answer the question. It's like, sir, get to the point. That did you see her? Now, she likes Democrats, so she allowed him to keep talking. But she even tried to get a word in, like, but he's still talking, and it's like, you don't want to break in on your guest, but golly, he didn't answer any of the questions.
Didn't answer anything.
No. So what are your thoughts? Because I the main point that I saw was he didn't want to kind of give Trump credit in the beginning when she talked about Israel and Hamas. And the second point, he also didn't address or even speak to the fact that she said, why not take out that provision that allows undocumented people, which we know is illegal aliens? Why not take that out so you can get this clean CR pass and then argue about the rest of healthcare while the government is open? What's your thoughts?
I think that the Democrats obviously don't care about the people who voted for them, because people are, when the government is shut down, people don't get paid, who work for the government. And so the fact that they're holding the money up right now just goes to show they don't care about the people who vote for them. And when it comes to this, I think that I think that they're not focused on the bottom line, which should be helping the American people. But they're more focused on helping illegal immigrants, and we're seeing how they're even reacting to the anti-ICE protests and ICE in general. It's like they don't want law and order, they don't want structure, they want more illegals so that they can get more votes, and it's sick and it's disgusting. And so it's unacceptable.
That's absolute facts. And I agree 100%. I already don't like Hakeem Jeffries. But
Mhm.
on top of that, I think, the Democrats have dug themselves in a hole because I always do this thing called Democrats play a dirty game of I forgot I said that, I forgot I did that.
Right.
And so you just spent all this time when George Bush was in office talking about how, we shouldn't have not Democrats, we shouldn't have illegal immigrants on healthcare and things like that. But now all of a sudden, when you want them as a demographic, when you need them as a demographic, it's okay. It's, I'm going to put them as asylum seekers. Like, we don't know that you just made them asylum seekers and you just paroled them in, and now they get to get affordable healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, they do it in the communities that they're supposed to be for, right? They're supposed to be for Black and brown communities. But then you go and stick illegal immigrants in those communities. And we're going to get into that a little later. But I'm just saying, like, the communities that you're supposed to be for, you're draining their resources that you already don't give them for the illegal aliens.
Right.
It's absolutely like unconstitutional. But those are the shots for the day. Though we pulled it up just a little bit. I don't like Hakeem Jeffries, so you guys do with that what you will, and get down in the comments and let me know what you think about that. And also let me know what you think about Judge Joe Brown going in, okay? And let me know what you think about Stephen A. going in, both on Ratchet Crockett, okay, aka Ratchet Crockett. Because child. All right, so let's go before we get into
That's
the
funny.
main topics. Let's get into the super chats. And thank you guys so much for super chatting. I appreciate you. Thank you to Way More with the $20 super chat. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We got Matt Vibes. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. What? Because I throw Anton occasionally. Don't know. Gotta hear too. What? Thank you, no. What you mean? Write it in the chat. All right. We have the $5 super chat, Executive Suite MLE. Hakeem Jeffries isn't Temu Obama. He's more like dollar store Cory Booker. Dems have no policy positions, just oppositions to anything Donald Jaquavius Trump does. Shaking my head. Yeah, that's what I think. That Jaquavius, when I heard that, that was wild. I said, that is hilarious.
Didn't Xavier start that? In the
Donald
yeah,
Jaquavius Trump.
that
I
was too
said,
funny.
Jaquavius. That'd be the name, though. That'd be the name. Okay, so let's get into who we got here. Okay, let's get into the Civil War.
All
Well, at
right.
least that's what Mayor Mohawk is calling it. So we're gonna get into this because Mayor Mohawk intends on, stopping ICE at every turn. Okay, he's dead set at saying that ICE is a Gestapo. ICE is, the N-word with a Z I at the end. I try to stop myself from saying that word because YouTube doesn't like it. But they allow liberal channels to say it all the time. But when it's conservative, I digress. However, he is just on a rampage. And from last Friday to today, he has been making the worst decisions for the constituents of Chicago. I want to get into ICE and the raid. We're going to start there with the raid because I honestly just hate what they're using this for instead of actually using it for what is actually going on. So I'm going to play this and then we're going to get into it. Here we go.
Okay.
And we are hearing tonight from a Chicago woman, a U.S. citizen, who says she was handcuffed by ICE agents before being detained for hours during a middle-of-the-night raid in South Shore earlier this week. As Scott Schneider reports, congressional leaders are hoping her story further unites the city as immigration action throughout Chicago has taken a violent turn in recent days.
But this is how you tread a building, residents were terrorized, children have been crying, children were thrown on the ground, zip ties, we're not going to go in there, and now this building has been vacated.
Days after ICE agents conducted a late-night military-style raid on a South Shore apartment building, congressional lawmakers offered the press a tour inside. On the same day, Governor J.B. Pritzker told a national audience that the search for a few criminals quickly turned into a siege.
They were going after a few gang members, and instead they broke windows, they broke down doors, they ransacked the place, and there were people that were held, elderly people and children zip-tied.
Patricia Fisher is among the handful of U.S. citizens to be detained during the South Shore raid. Handcuffed and thrown into a van for hours, she's still searching for answers.
I got a gun put in my face and everything. And me personally, I don't appreciate that at all. It was several of us that got detained for some hours. I'm not the only one. And we asked them what was going on, and they didn't answer us.
Lawmakers are vowing to unite the city against any and all immigration enforcement as the temperature throughout Chicagoland continues to rise.
Yesterday, it was Brighton Park, where masked ICE agents in military gear with military weapons shot a woman's car up on Kedzie and 40th Street. Last week, they choked a black man on the west side and stormed our community in a military-style raid. Let's be clear, ICE is not about safety. ICE is about control and sowing fear amongst our people.
All of this happening as the arrival of federalized National Guard troops in Chicago appears to be a foregone conclusion.
Kristi Noem has proudly gone on TV yesterday and said, Chicago, get ready because the Department of War is coming to Chicago, an American city. A cabinet leader has declared war on American city.
Chicago leaders have declared war on Americans. And that's honestly how I feel about it. But I want to play this one last clip before we get into the conversation. Here is Mayor Mohawk Brandon Johnson talking about the Civil War.
Okay.
I said very candidly that the right wing in this country wants a rematch of the Civil War. I want that to sit in right now because the president of the United States of America has declared war on the people of Chicago and people across America.
That's right.
He's more interested in giving billions of dollars to other nations while farmers in urban cities around this country are literally being destabilized. And so whether it's the legal system, whether it's through executive order, or whether it's through the brave women and men who are serving as rapid responders. We literally have people who are volunteering in this city on the southwest side, the northwest side, all over this city to make sure that we're protecting children from being separated from their families. And we're talking about volunteers who are literally putting themselves at risk of being shot and killed by the federal government. And so whether it's the legal system, whether it's our continuous struggle for liberation through organizing, and whether it's through executive action, or whether it's through law, it would be nice if we actually had lawmakers in Washington that would actually hold this president accountable. And if they won't do it, then the city of Chicago will, using every single tool that's available to us.
I want to get your thoughts on Mayor Mohawk.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think when it comes to Chicago's leaders and their approach to all of this, I think they've made up their mind that they're okay with having crime in their city, and they don't want accountability. They don't want any help, because that would mean that their citizens would be afraid, and they're just set on that. And it sucks because there are actually people in their communities who want something different. And they're actually excited that President Trump has said, hey, ICE is going to come out there. We're going to get all the illegals out, and we're going to make your city safer. So it's just like, I think at this point, this mayor is obviously set in his ways, and it's unfortunate because at the end of the day, he should be prioritizing keeping his city safe, but he wants to play politics.
Oh, he definitely wants to play politics. And it's so crazy because when you look at it, you have, you know, groups like Chicago Flips Red that are out there telling it, right? They tell
Right.
it from the ground, grassroots. And then you just have everyday, ordinary citizens that are out there telling it. So he spoke about, you know, the raids and people being afraid. Now, mind you, you let a entire group unvetted into an area that was already crime ridden. Now, what he
Right.
doesn't speak about a lot, right? And he likes to tout, oh, crime is down. Well, I guess you would think crime is down if you can't count the shots, if you can't count the gunfire, because he's taking out shot spotter. So when you look at all of that, you're like, is crime really down? And then when he speaks about the actual numbers and not the percentage, when he speaks about the actual numbers, it's like, sir, it's 500 is a lot.
It
Who
is.
has that many bodies? He doesn't talk about the bodies in the river, okay? Because they have been pulling bodies out of that river. Now, mind you, yes, there were bodies in the river before with the gangs, but there's been the city of Chicago said they're overwhelmed how many bodies they pull out that river.
Wow.
They are
It,
overwhelmed.
and I'll say this, I mean, it is very unfortunate that, you know, families have had to be involved in the ICE raids. Like that doesn't make me happy at all, hearing that children had to be involved in these things, but you've got to look at the big picture here.
Right.
And you know, ICE is going in and they're doing their jobs. Unfortunately, these illegal immigrants have been put in the Black communities in Chicago, where and it's causing their crime to skyrocket and things like that, even if it's not being reported. Because if you're over here illegally, you're committing a crime. So that's a crime in itself.
So I want to get your thoughts on this too. This is
Okay,
what
okay, go ahead.
you just had the raid. You just talked about the raids. I want to get your thoughts on what Black residents are saying on the opposite side, and what one woman who decided to speak out, what she said. And I want to get your thoughts on the fact that she's also receiving death threats. So,
oh wow,
yeah. So here's what she posted just a day or so ago. Here we go.
Okay.
So for those who was questioning about who I am and where I'm at, this is Adam Clayton Powell. This is the building that everyone is in an uproar about. So as I said, South Shore, this is your community, your neighborhood, and this building was not majority Black when the ICE came the other day. Yes, Black people were affected, but this building was overran by illegal Venezuelan gangs. And I just had several conversations with residents who are moving their stuff out of here that confirmed that. So stop letting media put that false narrative in your head that somebody coming for you, because they not. You was born here. You was born on this land. Rise up and stand up on something and stop letting any and everybody tell you something.
Wow. Yeah, I saw her first video, and I'm glad she posted that first one, because when I started seeing all these TikToks popping up saying that ICE was coming and taking over Chicago and arresting Black Americans, I was like, okay, seriously, is this really happening? And then her video ended up popping up. And so we need people like her sharing the truth, and I'm glad she's doing it. It's unfortunate that she's experiencing death threats, because all she's doing is just saying, hey, here's a different perspective. ICE is actually coming to help people who said that they are tired of this crime that has taken over their city.
Yeah. And the crazy part is, she mentioned in this video, she said, yeah, some Black people were affected, because when they do, and I don't know if a lot of people ever, seen how SWAT and other law enforcement agencies go and do warrants and things like that. But yeah, sometimes you're going to be affected if you're in that place. Now, let's say you're not the person that they're after, but they get everybody rounded up. We figure it out later. That's usually how it goes, right? But they're using that, to say that they're going after Black people. And what was so egregious to me was the fact that they started to say that, oh, there were children that were zip tied. With all the cameras in the world out there, if there were naked children zip tied, because this is what they were saying, if there were naked children zip tied outside in the middle of the night, where are the videos? Where are the pictures? Because TikTok would have it. It would blow it all up. I haven't seen one. I haven't seen one.
I
And
haven't
I was searching.
Mhm.
So it's like is this made up? Because they were like, okay, it's reported. And I'm like, okay, it can be reported, but is it true? Because I saw the U-Haul trucks that they said they had, but I didn't see any children outside, these half naked or whatever, zip tied with, because they were saying, oh, it was behind their bags. And I've never seen that in my life.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either, and I think you make a really good point, because I just saw a young man on TikTok right before I got on here who was saying that same thing, that he had watched somebody else's video and this man was zip tied and dragged out of his house and all this, and I'm like, seriously? If that's the case, show us the proof, because I want to
Yeah.
see this and I'll report on it and I'll say, hey,
Facts.
this shouldn't be happening.
Facts.
Why are they being zip tied?
Facts.
It's one thing to say, hey, come with us. We need to make sure that you're clear as an American citizen. And then there's another thing to do other things, right? So it's just, yeah, I don't know if it's happening. I haven't seen any footage. But it's crazy that, yeah, like you said, there's no footage to support it.
Yeah, the wildest accusation has no footage.
Right.
I saw the helicopter. I saw, them repelling. I saw that, and I've seen, the U-Haul trucks and things like that. I'm like, okay, so this is factual. Now, mind you, I can, agree with everything that Donald Trump is doing, that ICE is doing. But if there's something that I don't agree with, or I think they could have made a tactic better, I would have said it. But I have not found any of that. I
Right.
literally haven't found any of that. And I said this before and I'll say it again. They know what they're doing when they put these people there, because they put these people in neighborhoods that already are not fond of the police. So now when you don't allow them to get the illegal aliens, and now they got to send more police in there, they already have a negative view of the police, and now you have police kicking down their door because they're going in every apartment because they don't know where these people are staying,
Right.
but they
And
know
it-
they're in there.
Right, and they arrested 37 people who were a part of a gang of illegal immigrants. So their job did get done. They did release the Black people who were detained. And the fact is that ICE is not targeting Black Americans. That's just not happening. Now, you made a good point. There were quite a few Black people who lived in that building, and they didn't know exactly where the illegal immigrants were. So they did have to stop by every building and make sure that no illegal was there, or if they saw the illegal, they took them in, right? And so it happens, and we've got to be realistic about it. If ICE is coming to an apartment complex and they've got several people they've got to find, yeah, somebody's door may get busted down. It's going to happen, especially when you've got that many illegal immigrants in one apartment complex. We've got to be realistic and just say, okay, this makes sense. Okay. Like,
I agree.
was it
I agree.
perfect? No, but you can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. The good part is that they got the illegals who were causing problems and who were a part of a dangerous gang out of that apartment complex. That's going to keep the community safer, and that'll keep the kids safer. What is
Yeah.
the issue? That's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out, is why is it an issue? Okay.
It's an issue because the Orange Man did it.
Right.
The Orange Man did it, and instead of blaming the people that you should blame, because I believe, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that might be like public housing.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Why are they getting any resources?
Right.
Everybody there, if anybody's going to get public housing, it's going to be Americans. Why are they getting public? Why are they there?
Right.
Why are they there?
It's the same. I have the same question for why Joe Biden was housing them in hotels, 5-star hotels, just over a year ago. Why was that happening?
Oh.
You know? And so that's the thing. Nick Shirley did a great job covering that. They're staying in 5-star hotels, getting to live there for several months and everything. That's unacceptable.
Oh yeah. And
So I
they're
mean,
still getting it.
at this point, President Trump is saying, "Hey, we've got to get this under control." He's only got so much time to make these things happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've seen some people say that. Well, I agree with it, but it's happening so fast. Yeah, what do you want him to do? He's got 4 years, and you already see all of the liberals saying, "Oh, if we get it back, just you wait." You know, I call him Don Limon. He's like, "Oh, wait, just the karma's a bit. Wait, just wait. When we get back in, it's sassy self. When we get back in, oh, watch what we do." I'm like, and that's exactly why. This is exactly why you have the absolute low ratings with the Democratic Party. Because they're only interested in power. They're not interested in actually doing anything.
It's
They're
true.
not interested in doing anything. You had 4 years, okay? You had Kamala, you had Sleepy Joe, you had the auto pen. They could have signed anything. Right? Like they could have did anything, and they chose to do absolutely nothing but help illegal immigrants. Even people who are legal immigrants here were like, I paid like $30,000. I had to sit in the class and speak English. You know, like all of these things that's required by law is now racist. Like it's absolute nonsense. But speaking of nonsense, I want to get into this last bit. And I did a video on it, but I want to get your thoughts on what I call the most TDS having show on air right now is Abby Phillips. Okay. When I tell you, I just despise that this is such a nice looking lady and she's ignorant. It just blows my mind. But let me go ahead and play this, and then I want to get your thoughts on the interactions that Van Lathan has and that Abby Phillips has with Scott Jennings. Here we go.
Okay.
So as forewarned, I mean, we have a situation in which American cities are at the center of this ICE crackdown, and there's indiscriminate use of force against Americans, non-Americans, people here legally, people here illegally. And on the right, nobody seems to care. In fact, they love it.
I saw a video from a local station in Chicago, and residents of the community there were describing an ICE raid and like what they saw. Two things struck me. One, they were talking about things that happened to them. They were talking about how they were treated in this ICE raid. These are the people that I guess by virtue of being born here in America are entitled to being treated like human beings.
Yeah.
The second thing is that they were all Black. And I'm gonna say something, we saw this coming. We knew the neighborhoods where these ICE raids would take place. We knew that a lot of these things wouldn't happen in Beverly Hills or in Coconut Grove or any of those places like that. We knew that there would be collateral damage, that there would be trauma that would be inflicted on our communities. We knew that people would be detained, scared. We knew that children would have to see things that they shouldn't have to see. And all of this for political theater so that we look tough on immigration for everyone. It's a horror show. And I do think if it hasn't already happened, that it'll be something that even the most conservative of Americans will get tired of seeing human beings treated this way. At least that's my hope.
Your thoughts on what Van Lathan had to say?
You know, what else do you expect from him? You know, what else do you expect from him? I see him in Rachel Lindsay's takes sometimes on Instagrams and everything, and they're always off. They're always off. And
I
so,
don't
what'd you say?
I don't expect anything from him.
Yeah, I
He
don't
barely knows the
expect
topics
anything
half the
different,
time.
you know?
I'm like,
And the thing is they're like avoiding the bottom line here. Like, what was the goal? Why did ICE go there? ICE went there to get illegal immigrants who were not supposed to be there out of that city, out of that apartment building, to keep the people safe and give them and obviously get the illegals back to where they belong, you know, to get them back to where they belong. And they achieved their goal. They arrested 37 illegal immigrants who were a part of a violent gang.
Absolutely.
Why is nobody mentioning that? Why is Van not mentioning that? Why do you want more illegal immigrants over here in America so that we taxpayers can pay their bills? That doesn't make sense to me.
Because they're
So,
trying to treat it like a humanitarian thing.
right.
Instead of an illegal immigration thing, because most of them are from Venezuela and Mexico.
Mhm.
And Mexico has GDP is fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with Mexico. Now, do they have some, awful cities? Yeah. But we have those, right? Every place has, not so savory towns, and probably Mexico a little more than not, because they have the, cartel. But that's up to the Mexican government. Make Mexico great again. That's all you got to do. Make Mexico great again. You had a senator trying to do just that, and she's scared for her life.
Mhm.
So, I agree with you 100%. But I think people like Van Lathan are there to do exactly what he's doing. Give misinformation on purpose, because just like you said, why didn't he say anything about the 37?
Right.
Like, so
And
they just pulled out black people. He said they were all black.
they were all black. And
Nobody
it's
from
just like,
Venezuela.
it's crazy. But
Yeah.
my thing is I mean, this is like what Democrats typically do is they see that their people are afraid, or they see that the American people are afraid, and then they're just like, okay, let's hone in on that, because they know that when people are afraid, they're easier to control. And
That's a
that's what
fact.
they want, is they want more control. They know that they're losing. They know that their party is not successful right now. They know that they lost the election by a whole lot of points. And they're like, you know what? We're going to need some help. So we need some illegals to come in so that we can get them on our voter registration and start allowing them to vote, which is
Not gonna vote.
un-American.
It's
And
very
so,
un-American.
yeah, it's not patriotic at all. And so we've got to focus on the facts and why ICE was there, and also remind people that ICE is not necessarily bad, and shouldn't be deemed as a bad organization. They're just trying to do their job, which is to remove the illegal immigrants so that the American people can be successful and have a safe life. That's their job. That's what they're doing. So, I mean, it's just crazy to me that this narrative has just completely blown into something else.
So now I want to get into the only reason I ever look at this show.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get into the back and forth with Scott Jennings and the rest of the TDS crew. Here we go.
Well, one detail that's been left out is that they were targeting Tren de Aragua. And so Tren de Aragua is a violent transnational gang. They send illegal immigrants here to the United States. They traffic drugs, they traffic people, they commit violence. They inflict misery everywhere they go. And 37 people were arrested. That was the purpose of the raid, the targeting of Tren de Aragua, some of the most violent people in our hemisphere. And when they come here, nothing good happens. That was
Okay,
the point.
so if it was targeting, I don't think anybody has a problem with targeting. Right. When you clear out an apartment building and you zip tie children and you arrest and detain everyone. Scott, hold on, Scott. You and me, we're talking here, okay? If they arrest children, they arrest everyone, citizens and non-citizens, for hours, detain them, deprive them of their liberty for no matter how long. You are fine with that.
They didn't arrest children, but
I didn't say they arrested them. They put them.
Did you not? You see Scott's face, right? The woman literally just said
that.
I made this a reel because when I first saw this, I couldn't believe, like, It was 2.3 seconds, right? And maybe an hour ago, you might not remember that you lied. Okay. But 2.3 seconds ago, I didn't say, child. Scott's face was priceless. He looked directly at the camera.
Funny.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? You see what I have to deal with? So I just wanted to point that out, but I'm going to let her keep talking.
I'm in zip ties, but if that makes a difference to you, go ahead.
Here's what makes a difference to me. If the federal government knows that there is a nest of Tren de Aragua in a city like Chicago, they have a responsibility. They have an obligation to go get them. It is unfortunate, to answer your question, that there are children put in harm's way by these violent gangs. But that is going to be the reality.
Or is it unfortunate or is it a violation of their rights is the question? Because I mean, in this country, we have rights against searches and illegal
you're suggesting
searches
these children should be effectively human shields for Tren de Aragua. I don't agree.
What I'm asking, hold on, I want to make it clear. I don't like, I know that Tren de Aragua and gangs and whatever, it's a catch-all to treat people however you want, to go in there and shred the Constitution or whatever else it is that you want to do. What I'm asking you is this. Do you think that children should have been zip-tied and pulled out of an apartment complex and traumatized like that? Yes or no?
I don't think children should be put in harm's way by transnational gangs.
Just answer the question. Yes or no? Do you think that children?
I don't accept the premise of your question.
I'm asking
the
you
government's not
whether or
putting
not,
children in harm's way. Tren de Aragua.
Real calm now. Real calm. Like
they're the ones putting children in harm's way.
Gentlemen and gentlemen, we have a responsibility for the way we treat people with the power that we have here in America. And we have a standard that we should treat human life with. And I'm asking you very clearly, concisely, should children be treated that way? Does Scott Jennings like that?
I don't accept the premise of your question.
All right, cool.
I don't believe that the premise of your question is accurate. I would ask you back. Should children be allowed to live in an apartment building with Tren de Aragua? Should the entire community of Chicago have to live with Tren de Aragua because they hide behind these children?
But here's the thing.
So that whole argument was just disingenuous. And that's why Scott didn't want to speak to it. Because once you actually acknowledge it, now they get to run with that. And he's trying to make it seem like Scott doesn't want to answer the question, but the premise is already wrong because they never did it. So it's just that whole entire, cast of people will sit there and come up with things just to combat Scott. And it's so disingenuous and inaccurate. But I want to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. And I think what Scott could have said was, I think the government cares about children so much that they're going in there and they're trying to get all these illegals out to keep the children safer. Yeah. And let's keep in mind, it's not like any of the children were shot or killed or anything by ICE. Could they have been detained with their parents? Yes, that could have been what happened, but he's making it Van is making it seem as though ICE did something to terrorize the children, and that was not their goal at all, and that's not what they did.
Yeah, and that's why I don't like any of these shows. Right. Honestly, I don't like Fake Tapper. I don't like Abby and Gang. I don't like any of these shows. Morning Joe, they're a bunch of nuts. I don't like any of them because they're just disingenuous. Like they will take something and just twist it. And it's just like, but that's not what it was for. And then you got to argue a fact that's not a fact. Like Scott is awesome because I'm telling you right now, every last one of the people, I would just pick off one by one because I'm telling you, they just have their own thoughts. They have their own, like they come in there with preconceived notions and they stick to that point, no matter if you give them the facts. I mean, he just told Abby Phillips that, no, they didn't arrest children. I didn't say that. No, that's what you said. That's what you said because you thought you was going to get away with that talking point. Like you thought I was going to let you slide and you were going to be able to say that. That's what they thought. And so I think it's it gets to a point where we have to be like, what's the end goal? What's the end goal? Are we trying to understand what's going on? If you think, something can be done better, fine. I have no problem with that. But the whole argument is always either all in or nothing. Oh, we should treat people like this. But that means they just stay here. No. They came here illegally because if I do something, I'm going to jail. This person gets a pat, you know, a little tap on the wrist or a little tap on the shoulder, and it's cool. Then they do crimes, and it's cool. You just keep releasing them. I don't get that. I
Right.
can't go do something. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
nowadays illegal immigrants can even get driver's license. I mean, we talked about that a month ago. About how they were one of the illegal immigrants got a driver's license and then killed 3 American people on the freeway because he's making an illegal U-turn.
Because he can't read English.
Exactly. And so this is why there has to be law and order. There has to be a standard in which we live. And the fact that you have some Americans who cannot agree on that standard just goes to show that we've got a lot of work to do in this country. And so I think that the conservatives have to make sure that we're on top of the messaging. The left is always talking about how they care more about people and how everything is about caring for people and things like that, but they don't care. But they're good at saying that they care. So conservatives need to be better about saying that we care and showing why we care, you know? And so this is a textbook example of that, you know, in this whole ICE situation. ICE went in there because they, you know, obviously the leadership cares and wants to make sure the American people are safe. And the Democrats have managed to turn this around and make it seem like the government doesn't care. And so it's just not good.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And you know what? That's a different point of view that I never thought about. Conservatives, you know, we do a good job at, you know, saying the hard line, which is needed. But I always say Democrats are better at PR. They're just so much better at the PR of making people feel like they care. Right? You get absolutely nothing, but people don't see that until they actually feel that. At the beginning, they see it. And I think I agree with you. Conservatives don't do a good job at showing why you're doing this, why this is a good thing. Right. Now, I do think people are just starting to be more aware. So they see why conservatives or why, you know, the Trump administration and other Republicans are doing this. But at the end of the day, it needs to be a more, you know, I'm not saying tone it, you know, I'm not saying be soft on it, you know, sugarcoat it, but maybe there needs to be somebody that can explain it. Just like you have Stephen Miller that can go out and explain stuff, you know, and be cut and dry, because I love it. Like when he gets out there, it is no holds bar. Like I'm telling you like it is. I think they need somebody, you know, on the other side, because they're just, for some reason, they're just people that only care about what they feel.
Right. And the thing is I think that every conservative watching this podcast should pick up a book called The Conservative Heart. And it talks about this exact thing, that Democrats are better at their messaging and conservatives need to get better at messaging. This situation could have played out a whole lot differently if conservatives were, like I said, showing and explaining why they care about this situation and why it's important to the American people. But instead, we were so focused on the facts, which is great, and we should be focused on the facts, but we didn't cater enough to the feelings too. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to a situation like this, people are going to have feelings about it. So you've got to be able to speak to the feelings as well, to people's feelings as well. And so I recommend y'all pick up that book because it'll help you a whole lot when it comes to having a conservative heart, you know, which we know that conservatives are about faith, family, community, and meaningful work. That's what makes a conservative, and that's what makes somebody happy, you know, the combination of those 4 things. And then also that book really talks about messaging and why it matters. So that's just my 2 cents, but I think we can do better. And we just got to keep telling the truth and saying it in a way that reaches people.
I agree. 100%. And I'm looking to that book because I've never heard of that. So yeah, that's definitely a plug. Thank you for that. So you guys get down in the comments, like, comment, and subscribe as always, and let me know what you think about all of that with Chicago, because it's all a mess. CNN, MSNBC, all the pundits are just making this out to be a racial target. They already do it with the illegals, but now they're making it out to where they can use Black people as the Americans that they're coming after. You know, it's absolutely nonsense. But I want to get your thoughts. So let me know what you think about that down in the comments. Now, before we get to our last topic, I want to go ahead and recognize the super chats. Thank you all for super chatting. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Hey, Miss Brown Eyes with the $5 super chat. Hey, ladies. Thank you. All right. Executive Sweet Emily says, are we supposed to forget the videos that show Trinidad take over buildings? And yes, take over buildings, and they had machine guns and forced people out. Yeah, and I think that was in was that Aurora? Was that Aurora? We saw some of those people in Colorado, something like that.
I'm not sure.
Where they took over like a little complex, and the people in the complex.
Oh,
kept
I know what you're
saying,
talking about. I saw that video. I don't know where it was.
I think it might be Aurora, Colorado. You guys can correct me in the chat or in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think it was there. And they just kept trying to get the media, and the media was like, yeah, it's not happening. They're like, okay, they're here. But thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. AR Smitty with the $4.99 super chat. Can't wait to see how Jazz defends this one. These YouTube panel streets. She might do it on her own, CROCKETT podcast. That woman is an entertainer. Okay. At best. And an entertainer at worst. Thank you for the super chat. Let's see here. Malachi Andrew. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Just found this while getting the truck unloaded. Thank you, ladies. Keep rocking it out. Thank you. I appreciate you. Okay. Malachi Andrew again with the $2 super chat. Shout out to Tamara keeping it real. That's why I brought her, because I love it. I love her content. And then we had a $5 super chat from Magnetar. It's me again, everyone's favorite government guy. Cares. Protect y'all since November 2003. You know what? Go Air Force. Thank you for your service. Magnetar is a mess. He works for the United States government. So he always talks about federal jobs and things like that.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah. Very. All right, you guys. So let's get into this last topic here. It's a ridiculous topic and just downright disgusting. But which is a Democrat, Jay Jones, decided that he was going to text somebody a couple of years ago and talk about shooting someone. He talked about just all types of little nasty things. And he thought he was going to get away with it, but he did not. So I want to go ahead and get into that, because when I tell you the Democrats seem like they don't care that this man said that, they absolutely don't care. So let's go ahead and get into that really quick and then come back and discuss. Here we go.
Of a Virginia Attorney General candidate's text conversation getting national attention. Jay Jones' opponent, current AG Jason Miyares, joined President Trump in weighing in on it yesterday. The president and Miyares called on Jones to drop out after new reports that Jones had texted somebody joking about then Virginia House Speaker Todd Gilbert getting 2 bullets to the head back in 2022.
I don't accept his apology. I don't accept his apology because he had a chance then to apologize. Jay Jones is sorry only after it made the news. Jay Jones regrets it only after it has endangered his campaign. Jay Jones said he would take it back only because that's what he needs to do to try to stay on this ticket.
Now, we reached out to the Jones campaign for a statement, and he did send one to us here at News 3. He called his words a, quote, grave mistake, saying Virginians deserve honest leaders who admit when they're wrong and own up to their mistakes. Jones added he has personally reached out to Gilbert and his family to apologize. The comments have drawn condemnation from both sides of the aisle. Democratic gubernatorial candidate Abigail Spanberger said she was disgusted by the texts and that she will always condemn violent language in politics. And then Republican nominee for governor, Winsome Earl-Sears, current lieutenant governor, also responded, saying the remarks were wholly disqualifying for someone running for an office that protects Virginians.
So with that as well, I wanted to point out something because, you had Winsome Sears speak out against it. Now, Winsome Sears had this happen to her. So what you guys are seeing is a sign someone held up at the Democratic rally, okay, for Spanberger out in Virginia. And it says, "Hey, Winsome, if trans can't share your bathrooms, then blacks can't share my water fountain." Okay. And then this side is someone telling this lady that this is getting a lot of play on TV right now and she ought to put it down. And she goes, "I said what I said." She stood on it. Okay. So I want to get your thoughts on just all the nasty things that are allowed to go on against, conservative candidates or GOP candidates, especially when they're conservative candidates of color. Because had this been a person of color on the Democratic side, like what happened to Winsome Sears, or what's happening with the text messages from Democrat Jay Jones against the GOP, that would have been, everywhere. This would be something that concludes that the GOP are white supremacists, okay? And they really have it out for minorities and liberal white women. Your thoughts?
That's funny. Funny accent you got there. The Democrats love to say that conservatives are violent, and they're not violent. I was just watching Don Lemon the other day, and he was saying that that Democrats aren't violent.
He is a white man.
Right. And that's the thing, is they wonder why people like Tyler Robinson are coming about, taking the lives of conservatives, a well-known conservative, Charlie Kirk. They wonder why those things are happening, and it's because of their rhetoric that they're getting away with. And there has to be accountability for this, and that's exactly why you saw ABC saying, "Hey, Jimmy Kimmel, it's not acceptable, and we're not going to tolerate this. So your show is going to be suspended for now." Because turns out the rhetoric that they've been pushing for so many years actually has consequences. So this candidate who's running for whatever office he's running for, maybe it's time for him to step down from running, because he shouldn't be representing a state.
Here's the thing about it. He's allowed not only to stay in the race, the Democrats aren't condemning it. Like, they're not saying, "Hey, okay, this was nasty and you should drop out." Trump has already called for him to drop out. Other Republicans, the governor that's running, as you just saw, Winsome Sears, but no Democrat has said drop out. And some, are even doubling down. Like, if you go on X and TikTok, they're like, maybe he shouldn't have shared that. Why does he think that in the first place? What is like? That's like you sharing. If this was a quote unquote racist text, they will be like, "Oh, what he said is violence." Now, mind you, it might not even be a text about violence, but they would call it violence because, on the left, words are violence. If you misgender somebody, it's violence. You have actual violence. Somebody's talking about who should get a bullet to the head, and nobody calls for him to drop out. Absolutely nobody. And forget just the recent events. You have what's happened to Trump. You've had what's happened to other conservatives, near death things. And it's just, the rhetoric is crazy. I can't stand Magic Crockett, but I would never be like, "Oh, somebody ought to just to pull that wig," but it just like, no, like, you don't put your hands on people. You don't don't do that. Like, I can literally sit here and just, obliterate her with words, right? And about her actual non-policies, because it's not about her policies. So why can't Democrats do that?
Right.
Like, what do you see that Democrats why are they in such support of this? And all of a sudden, with Donald Trump, it's just like it's okay. Anything goes. Why do you think?
I think because it's working for them. You know, a lot of their party is feeding off of that. That's how they keep their base engaged, is by showing their hatred for conservatives and Donald Trump and MAGA. And so they're not going to stop what's making them money. You know, the love of money is the root of all evil. And when that money is coming in, it's hard for people who are loving that to stop what they're doing. And so I think that that's what it really comes down to. And it's unfortunate. And the thing is if you have great ideas, you can present those ideas without name calling, without, you know, threatening and all that stuff. If your ideas are so great, let your ideas stand for themselves. But unfortunately, we're living in a day and time where you have Americans who are supposed to be supportive of the First Amendment taking matters into their own hands, and you got other Americans fueling the fire. And so I don't think anyone running for office should be running for office if they are spewing such rhetoric, because it is very dangerous, you know. And I think about Charlie Kirk. He was my boss in college. You know, I was a campus coordinator for Turning Point USA and have been involved with that organization since I was 18 years old, you know, grew up in Turning Point. And so I can't help but think of him when I see stories like this. I mean, he had the rest of his life ahead of him. 31 years old, recently married, only had been married for like 4 years.
Yeah.
2 children.
Yeah.
And so when stories like this come up, we have to remind the left of how dangerous their rhetoric is, and bringing up the fact that Charlie Kirk's life was taken because of free speech, because of conservatives trying to have open-ended debates. I mean, that's exactly why it happened. And so there needs to be accountability.
I 100% agree. Like, it's just, I'm just so sick of it. Like, we can go back and forth. We can make jokes on each other. I'm cool with the jokes. But when it gets to where you think you have to take somebody's life in order to get them to see your side, and it's just sick. It's absolutely sick.
is.
And go ahead.
Yeah, and the man who was running, I don't know his name. I only
Jay
saw this
Jones.
video. Jay Jones. You know, from my understanding, his text messages had some sort of, he said in there, he talked about killing somebody or something.
Yes. So
know?
his text messages, which I have on the thumbnail, he said that if there, you know, 3 bullets, you got 3 people, you got the GOP member he was talking about, you have Hitler, and he mentioned another dictator. And he said that the GOP member gets 2.
Wow.
I'm like, what? And so he's going on and on and on and on and on, to even the lady that he's talking to had to say, Jay, stop. Like, stop. And he laughs and says, okay. You can't tell me that lady didn't turn it in. Okay.
Right.
She hasn't admitted that she turned it in, but yeah, because at a point it's just like, it's disturbing.
It is disturbing.
It's disturbing that you even brought that up, but it looked like she just ignored it, right? Like, okay, I'm gonna just ignore it. But he kept going and going and going. And it's just like, what's wrong with you that you think that that's okay to text somebody over and over again about, you know, pretty much unaliving somebody else?
Well, go ahead, Micca.
No, I was just getting ready to say, especially in, you know, the fact that this is not something that he did when he was like 15. This was like just 2 years ago.
Right. And the thing is out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And so clearly that's what's flowing from his heart. And he should not be in office.
Absolutely. And you're talking about protecting people. So are you protecting anybody that thinks like that GOP member? Right?
Exactly.
You, as an AG, are you going to skip over? Are you going to instruct people to not do what you need to do for conservative people because they think like that? Like, it's absolutely nasty. And no, you should not hold public office because you're the AG for everybody. So, you know, those are my thoughts. But I'll let you have the last word because we have come to the end. And I want to thank Tamara for coming on because she has such a great mind and great thoughts. And, I only bring people on here that I think can add to, not only, information with my audience, but can add to the conversation of being a conservative or just politics in general, pop and politics, because I believe that pop culture is political, right? And I believe that politics is pop culture. So I will let you have the last word before we go.
Oh, well, you're so sweet, Micca. Thank you so much for having me on. You have such a great show, an amazing audience. I love everything that you're doing. I love your commentary. It's so funny, and you use catchy phrases that I remember and everything. So keep up the great work. And yeah, thanks for having me on. And if you guys would like to check out my channel, you can check me out at the Tamara Neely Show. I'm on YouTube, and then also I'm on TikTok. I need to work on the TikTok a little bit more, but y'all can check out the TikTok. I think it's the.tamara.neely.show. You're welcome to see the clips on there as well. And I just want to thank you again, Micca, for having me on.
Thank you for coming because I do think I like the fact that you're young and you think like this. Because usually it's in the latter half, especially, with young women that you catch them doing a change. So I think there needs to be a lot more of young people, but preferably young women of color that can speak to a different voice. So I appreciate you and I love all your content. As I told you, I binge watch and I will love to have you on again when you're free and available. But you guys definitely go and check out Tamara and check out all of her content. Check it out across YouTube, check it out across TikTok, and you're on Instagram too, right?
I am on Instagram. Yes.
Yep. For you IG people, because a lot of you like IG. She's also on Instagram as Tamara Neely. Thank you so much, Tamara. I appreciate you.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye.
All right, you guys. So that was Miss Tamara. I love her. She's so sweet. She's so sweet. But you guys, thank you so much for pulling up as always. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to ABJ. Thank you to Sugar Shane. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Magnetar. Oh, wait, we got one more super chat really quick. Chat, let's be respectful. You know who you are. You know they gotta be respectful. Thank you so much, Magnetar. I appreciate you. Nick J, thank you. Thank you, the Genuous CEO. I appreciate you. No, I didn't flip my hair. I'm flipping it now. But thank you so much. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Matt Vibes. Thank you, Quick Fix. Thank you, Loud and Clear. Thank you, Alicia. I think I said Donna, but thank you, Donna. Thank you, Artifacts. Let's see. Thank you, Lord Jammer. Thank you, Violator. Let's see here. Thank you, Trice. Thank you, Molly. I appreciate you pulling up, love. Thank you, Frankie. Thank you, Wars Peace. Thank you, Bobby's channel. Let's see here. Thank you, Ethos. Thank you, Matt Vibes. I Dizzy. Thank you to who else we have in the building? A lot of you guys pulled up. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tyrone. Andrew, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody in the super chats. Malachi, AR Smitty, Brown Eyes. Thank you, love. Thank you way more for the super chats. Thank you to everybody that pulled up, you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to Mike That Dude on the Cash Apps. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. As always, it's your girl Micca. You guys remember that I'm on Mondays and Wednesdays now. Okay. Mondays and Wednesdays, 6 p.m. We'll get on the schedule. We'll get there. We'll get there. You guys, thank you so much for pulling up. It's your girl Micca. As always, thank you. And I'm out.